Alright, third time's the charm, right? Hey everybody, welcome back to Veli. So this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Basically, it's an experience that I wanted to reach, with my setup here, and that was switching over from a MacBook that I was doing my work on, and switching from a gaming PC, which I was doing my gaming on obviously, into one computer. And my goal was to, kind of have the build quality, great specs, kind of, the basic ultra overall awesome laptop. I wanted it to have a dock setup too. And kind of this is what I ended up going with, which was a Razer Blade. I kind of wanted to talk about my experience so far, the qualifications for someone who was in my experience who wanted these four things: awesome build quality, a single button press trackpad that was kind of similar to a MacBook, because if you're coming from a MacBook, you know about the trackpads and how you can kind of just use that as your actual mouse. Spoiler alert, this comes pretty close, but it's still not quite there. Nothing has reached the MacBook trackpad still to this day, even though Windows laptops are getting really close. Third was I needed Thunderbolt 3 so I could actually dock it, have a docking station. USB Type-C is not going to cut it with the speed. And four, I wanted to have a graphics card. So that's kind of, to do rendering and gaming, that's kind of, a no-brainer, but from switching from the Mac, that is kind of a reason to do it, at least right now. I don't know if the new M1 MacBooks are going to have their own graphics processor eventually, but my friend Sam from iUpdate will probably be able to tell you about that a bit better than I will. And lastly, my fifth reason actually was the price range. I didn't really want to spend over $1,800 on this laptop, and at the time, back in like January or 2020, late 2019, that was kind of what I was looking for and what was doable at the time for me. Basically, ended up going with a Razer Blade. It was actually a basic model, but since sending it in, I actually got switched over to an advanced model. So the price point doesn't quite apply because I have a laptop that is technically more expensive now, and it's a long story of how I ended up getting there. Basically, the previous one got damaged, and I needed to send it in. They didn't have the right parts, so I kind of haggled my way into getting a Razer Blade 15 Advanced model. This is the 2019 version. It's a 2060 Max Q. It's got a 240 hertz display, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it came with a 256 gigabyte SSD in it. Yeah, I've really enjoyed my experience so far. As kind of a summary, I here is kind of showing my docked setup. I regularly use the bigger display as my primary display. There's nothing special about it. It's just bigger, and I just can see it better. But yeah, everything is connected to the docking station, and it's all running through that Thunderbolt 3 cord, which is what I wanted, so I could easily kind of grab it and go, the laptop that is. And, kind of didn't make a lot of sense now because, like, the pandemic happened then, and then I, barely was taking it anywhere. So, obviously, I feel like it would have been made more sense to get a desktop since I'm, like, out of college and not taking the laptop anywhere that much anymore. But this was kind of a dream that I wanted to try out, and I'm pretty happy with it. Now, why did I go with the Razer Blade? Why didn't I choose like a Gigabyte Aero 15X or Aurorus, I think it's called now? Or why didn't I choose an Asus Zephyrus? There's a lot of good new AMD gaming laptops coming out. Well, at the time, the AMD laptops still weren't coming out quite yet. They are now, and they're actually really cool, and probably should look over those before considering this advanced model of the Razer Blade. A couple other reasons was the price. Some of these other laptops were extremely expensive, and as much as I probably would have actually, if you have more money, probably should take a look at the higher end laptops. Razer's prices, at least during the time for the laptop that I ended up getting, that basic model, was only $1,800. Now, here's the thing. Don't get the basic version of the Razer Blade. It's not worth it. The thermals are bad on it. It doesn't have that vapor chamber cooling, and as like nerdy and as like dumb as that sounds, that it would really help it out that much, apparently in the Razer Blade it did, because I just have the fan spin lower on this model that I have, this advanced model. It doesn't get as hot, I don't think, and it can actually drive the 2070 Max Q in it pretty well. And I haven't noticed, like, when I play games, any issues really. I regularly play, more powerful games on it to smaller games, to less powerful games like the Master Chief Collection, but I've played Cyberpunk on it. I'm about to finish my playthrough on it. And it's worked well. I'm not disappointed by the product really at all. I mean, I would go into more detail, but in terms of why I didn't choose some other laptops, it was just mainly the price and that some of them didn't even have Thunderbolt 3. A lot of the Asus Zephyrus computers just don't have Thunderbolt 3 on them. And I think some of the newer models are, but once again, the price, a lot of these laptops are $3,000. And the advanced model, I think for this was probably only $2,300 when it came out. So, yeah, it's kind of a balancing act of, trying to get everything, the 5 qualifications I wanted, or I guess I should say those 4 qualifications I wanted in that price range, in a lower price range. If you have all the money in the world, you probably shouldn't really be watching this video because there's other options that you'd probably like out there. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to make this video for someone who was in my shoes of kind of, they had these 2 computers, they wanted a dock setup, they wanted to try that out actually, and it's still something that's kind of niche. And once again, this is just some Thunderbolt 3 dock. I think it's like a Kensington Thunderbolt 3 dock. There's a couple other ones out there. They're annoyingly expensive for how little they provide. There's like a kind of monopoly on the market of those since they are so niche. They're like $200 and all they do is have ports on them. There's always weird hiccups with the external display when it goes, in terms of the display turning off and going to sleep. I can't verify if that's just due to the Razer Blade, the docking station I have, or just Thunderbolt 3 docking still kind of just sucks. It's been a fine experience, but on Windows it still has problems, and I just kind of figure out ways to kind of get around them. Instead of having the display turn off, I just have the computer go to sleep at the time that it would have it turn off, and that kind of helps. When it wakes it from sleep, it like knows to turn my external display on better when it's not asleep. I eventually will have an update video for you all here, but until then, thanks for watching Veli, and I'll see you all in the next one.